Good morning. Good afternoon to some. Good morning to some. This is Marc Petock, Vice President Marketing at Lynxspring. Thank you for joining us today's webinar. Apologies to many of you who joined us on Tuesday. Major technical difficulties, and hopefully we've overcome those by now. So apologies to everyone. But again, welcome to the special edition of Lynxspring webinar on lighting control presented by Douglas Lighting. Joining us today are Randy Schwimmer, who is a technical sales specialist and manager of design from Douglas Lighting, and Roger Miller of Pinnacle Lighting and Controls. Just a little bit of background. Lighting has been around for decades, but the latest lighting advancements has only just begun to truly gain attraction in the commercial building space. Now lighting is becoming a platform for other applications. It's creating brand new opportunities for all of us in the industry to provide services to the people in the buildings where we never even thought we could do that 4, 5, 6 years ago. Lighting control is becoming another beachhead for the next generations of our buildings, both in a new construction environment as well as a retrofit. So without further ado, I'm going to go ahead and turn this over to Randy and Roger. Randy, show's yours.
First off, I'd like to start and say what a pleasure and a privilege it is to present Douglas Lighting Controls to you, and for Lynxspring having partnered with us for lighting control. Since 1962, Douglas has been a leading supplier of lighting control equipment. In the late 60s, they were the first to install a programmable control system. They have a lot of history. They've been around a long time. In the 80s, they incorporated computer technology and interfaces were added along with graphic control and data logging. I might mention that Panasonic is part of a small Japanese company called Panasonic. Dialog is the centralized lighting control system that Douglas has. It's digitally programmable. It's designed to control an entire floor, an entire building, or even a large multi-building complex. The ease of installation is a Douglas plus. All of the components wire with a simple 2 number 18 solid wires, completely polarity insensitive. Every contractor, anybody that does wiring is familiar with a terminal connection. No need to make up Cat5 RJ45 connectors to connect all of our devices with our panels. There's a caveat to that. If we're going to a completely networked system, then we would need some Cat5 RJ45.
And that's only if there is multiple, and we have multiple 3150s, which is the lighting controller. As you see on here, everything is controlled with the 3150, which is the center of, well, go back to slide 6, please. In the middle, with a D on it, that is our main lighting controller. It controls everything that you can see, and can also control intake backnet input. It has contact inputs, and also with the panels, we can do 0 to 10 out. Everything on this page can be wired together with that 2-wire 18-gauge wire. So we have nothing that is needed on here will be needed with Cat5, no Cat5 connectors. And all of the wiring that you see that would need to be done is all topology free. So we don't need to daisy chain or anything. So everything on this, you can go ahead and go to the next slide. So yeah, the main processor unit. We also have a web interface that you can set your show up. You can set the entire building up on the web interface, connect it into the 3150, and have full control over everything, and then download it into the 3150 when the commissioning starts. And you go to the next one. The global web server, that's the only time that we ever need the Cat5 is when we do multiples of the 3150, which is the main lighting controller. The global web server will link up to 10 different devices or 10 different 3150s, and that will control an abundance of relays. So the global web servers can also be connected together and go, the expansion is endless with it. Go ahead and go next, and I think, Roger, you're going to take it.
Yeah, I'd like to go back to slide 4 if we could, please.
Oh, okay.
Oh, maybe slide 5, I'm sorry. This is what a typical relay panel would look like. Relay panels are powered from a branch circuit panel, which would be by others. We can provide the relay panels either surface mounted, recessed. We can even do NEMA 4 enclosures if required. So there isn't any type of panel that we can't provide to provide the solution that you're looking for. These are typical relays that Douglas provides. Surprisingly enough, they're provided by Panasonic. They are mechanically latching relays, which means that you can change the state of the relay mechanically. Either a strong fingernail or a straight-bladed screwdriver can change the state of the relay. This is very important in projects where, if for some reason in a mall or office or a store or whatever, that there was something wrong with the electronics, a lightning strike knocked out the electronics, the relays can be turned on manually, and therefore you wouldn't hold up an opening of an office of a space due to an electronic failure until the electronics can be addressed.
Now, the graphical interface, this goes along with the global web server. We can take any plan that is for any output of any plan, whatever you have, an office building, hotel, anything, and we can put it into this graphical interface where the user will have full control over every single relay if wanted by clicking on the device on the interface. So like you can see on the slide, for target field, anywhere that they want to control the lights, they can do it from their computer screen by pressing on any of the buttons that they have allocated. Now, the design for that goes with the end user, and with our design team here, they determine what is needed, and it's very powerful, and it makes ease of use just extremely easy for anyone, and just gets on a computer and has full control over anything that they need to have control of. All of these are the outputs of the relay panel. As you could, when you saw on the page that had all of the relay panel and all the outputs, and it showed what a full relay panel looks like. We can do the relay drivers. It's configurable to however is needed. So we can do a 24 circuit relay panel with 8 relays. We can do it with 4 relays, or we can do it with 24. It's all depending on what we use as far with the WRD 3408. Now, another thing we can do is take a contact input. So if there's a fire alarm or anything else that needs to connect into the system, we add one of our 3928s, and there's full dry contact input control over the 3150. And like I said earlier, the the 0 to 10, the cards come in 4, so we have 4 outputs of 0 to 10, and we can go, depending on the size of the relay panel, we can do 3 to 4 to, I think the maximum is 6 of the 4 outputs. So you have endless control of the 0 to 10, mainly the LED 0 to 10 lighting. That's fine.
These are some of the components that go to making a localized control in a space. The number of buttons that can be added to a plate, on and off, dimming function. We can do keyed switches. We can do daylight harvesting, photo control in a space. We can do exterior for site lighting. Something about our sensors, we have either passive infrared or something we call dual technology. The dual technology is unique to Douglas in that the secondary logic is by voice. It listens to vowels in the human voice. Every language on earth has vowels in it. So this audio function prevents a mistrip of lighting by a slamming door or a backfiring engine or a radio playing, because even though a radio would have vowels in the sound, it's self-learning, so it knows that it's a radio playing and eliminates the input from that. So it's a pretty sophisticated, unique thing to Douglas and stops a lot of callbacks for problems for mistripping. This is our handheld controller. All of our devices, whether they be switches or sensors or photo controls, can be accessed with a IR control for allowing a commissioning of a space without having to get to the device itself. So it saves a lot of time. You can, of course, go in and put in a program for if you have a line of offices all facing the same windows, you can go office to office to office, and by simply pressing the simple button, it programs all of it to be just like the previous one. Okay. This again talks about our simplistic wiring of the 2 number 18 solid, and it shows that again you can star or tap off, or if you choose to daisy chain. We have had many comments from installers of lighting control systems where they're using a competitor's product with Cat5 cable and RJ45 connectors in a daisy chain, because most of our competitors do that. If there's one problem, the difficulty is you got to go find the problem and correct it, because everything downstream of that one problem is going to be a problem.
Here's a this is just a small example of what a multi-level building with multi-level or different levels, different wings of what it could look like as far as putting offices or hallways or anything. This is we're trying to show just what a simple building would look like. Go ahead and go to the next slide. If you daisy chain, which most of our competitors do, you have to start down like it shows at the core panel 1. Now daisy chaining, we would have to go all the way through if we want to connect this system and go all the way up to where it ends all the way over up on the top, up on the southeast or the core panel level 2. Now if go ahead and go to the next slide. If something happens in a daisy chain where, like it shows here, something happens in between northwest panel level 1 and northeast panel level 1, we don't know anywhere where that problem is. It could be in between the 2 panels. It can be in between the 2 stations. It's with daisy chaining, it's very hard to figure out where. And if it does happen, you lose control of everything past that line of break. So everything that happened past that, the portion where we lost control, everybody's in the dark. Go ahead and go to the next one. If it happens, then like it shows here, if there's a building or anywhere between level 1 and level 2, something goes wrong, everybody on level 2 is now in the dark. Go ahead and go to the next one. Now with the Douglas system, we can do everything topology free. So we can start and go out of one panel and one output and go 5, 6, 7 different ways. With the topology free, it makes the wiring very, very, very easy. So now we can separate each of the panels from our core panel, and if something goes wrong, go ahead and go to the next one. If something goes wrong in between one panel, the core panel, and like it shows there, the northeast panel, we're only losing control of that section. So once we fix that line, everybody in that area gets everything back. But the rest of the building is still functioning normally because of all the separate lines that went out. With the topology free, it leaves the branches and the wiring just limitless. There's no limit to what you can do with wiring when it comes down to being topology free. So, and it's also polarity free. So with the two wires, you can connect in on one terminal block and they can be opposite at the next terminal block. The polarity free and topology free makes it pretty, you can't mess it up. Even on an installation, there's 0 ways to mess it up. You want to go to the next one? So it's same here. So if there's a break in between the two stations, you're going to see only loss in the controls for maybe 2 offices instead of the entire office. So that just carries on with what I was saying. Go ahead and go to the next. These are our room controllers. These are great devices. They can be, you can put them in a room by themselves. They can connect into the Dialog network to where you have full network control. They have 4 individual 0 to 10 outputs on them, and they have 4 individual relays. So as you can see, the 4 different 0 to 10, if you look at the right diagram, with the 4 separate there, you can go out to 4 separate ballast control, or you can link the ballast. But everything is very well color coded. So with the inputs and the outputs, it's very easy. And the cover, when you open it, shows all of what you're getting with the circuits. We also have what we call the UL924 expansion, which adds 2 more relays to the room control. So now you've got 6 relays, or they can be UL924 and just be used as emergency circuits. We also have on the bottom circuit of the room controller is a hotline. So we can do you can do plug load control off that, and then now you're meeting code, and if you have to have plug load control. They're very easily installed. As you can see with the different chase nipples, they can install either with the one, or you can connect the expansion pack below. And so here you can see the different installations. So if most of every junction box is going to be a 4-inch square junction box, so they were designed to where we can do just the one operating off of the single voltage, and adding, if we want to add the emergency output, all we do is the emergency line will come in off that separate junction box, and they can be connected to the same. So as you can see in the diagram in the bottom right, if for whatever reason we have to add the emergency, you have the separate junction box, and they all fit very nice. Go ahead and go back to 24 if you want, Roger, if you want to say something.
Yeah, I want to mention that the relays are isolated, so you can mix voltages in the room control. So if you have 277-volt lighting and, of course, 120-volt plug loads, you can accommodate that.
The room device, I mean, yeah, you can go forward to the next. There's also on the front of the room control, there's the test button. So if something's going on and you lose power, you can hit the little blue buttons on the front, and it does do a test, so you can see the live test of what's going on. So if whatever line is down, if it's not testing, then you can figure out which line is down. Go ahead and go to the next. And here's just a list of basically what the room controller and what the 0 to 10, or I'm sorry, but the room controller or the Dialog stuff, the benefit of it compared to who can supply what with as far as the room control goes. So the Cat 5, for something like this room controller, it would connect into the Dialog system via the 2 18-gauge wire. And to do something like that, to get 4 in a competitor, say Acuity Zenlight, you would have to have 4 separate packs, which then would link together via Cat 5 daisy chained. And then you go out to your devices as far as the sensors or wall control. With the Douglas room controller, you put the one room controller in, you've got 4 separate isolated relays and 4 0 to 10 outputs that you can do basically an entire room with, or a larger room with, and all of the switches and sensors will also wire out of the room controller. So it's just the topology and polarity-free wiring when it comes to wiring up a room with these makes the ease of use incredibly easy. Also, with the IR handheld, you put one of the room controllers in the ceiling, run the cables to your sensors and your power or your wall controls, and you program everything with the IR handheld. So once you get that in, any programming can be done after installation. If the room controller's in the ceiling, all of the programming is done at the devices. So anything that needs to be changed can always be changed with that IR handheld. It's a great device. Going to go to the
other
next.
thing. Oh wait, I want to make one comment, Randy. The other thing is let's say you have 3 circuits in a room. By adding the expansion pack, it doesn't necessarily need to be used as an emergency. So now you could add that and have 6 circuits, so you could control side-by-side rooms with 3 circuits each. Saves quite a bit of money on equipment and wiring.
Yeah. All right, you can go to the next one. This is just a quick reference of how the wiring and everything would be with these room controllers. So you can see the 0 to 10 ballast up on the top left. The room controller or the outlet would go down into the circuit 4, which is the isolated, and then emergency, or it could be receptacles even. Like Roger was saying, on the emergency pack, you could do receptacles on it. It's just an expansion of 2 more relays, but it's isolated, so you can do the UL 924.
One more.
Yeah, go ahead and go to the next.
Yeah, this is a convenience item for everyone. The kits are designed to, off a plan, to provide whatever devices are in a particular room, and then they're shipped to the job with the room numbers, with all the devices for that room. They're not shipped in bulk, so that no searching for, I need a 2-button switch, I need a occupancy sensor, I need a photocell, whatever the devices are that need to be used in a particular room can be put in the kit and shipped to the job site. That way it saves a lot of money and a lot of searching, and you know you have everything.
Let me add on to that real quick. With that, the biggest one thing I wanted to point out, they are shipped in the boxes, which is fantastic. Another thing is every single job, doesn't matter the size, if it's 1 room or if it's 300 rooms, is tested fully as the factory before it leaves the factory. So everything we just put in a big stadium in Minnesota. I'm sure everybody knows what that's for. And it was tested for 6 months inside our factory before it left. The factory will wire everything up to the exact wire length that is going to be used on site. So, and it is made to where everything can go in, everything is labeled, everything goes in, and it is ready to be installed and ready to work when it gets there. Go ahead, Roger.
I think, Randy, what I'd like you to do is mention the kind of information that the customer would need to provide you to do a design for them.
Yeah, we're pretty flexible. If you have just a base of the building outline, I can do a design off of that, and just basically just some basic information of if we have code that we need to look out for, or if you have desired 0 to 10, or if you want non-dim, or if we're looking for to do all networked or non-networked. Plans are always nice. Construction plans are the best, obviously, but if you have pre-construction plans that I can design off of, we go off that, and then we'll give you a design with the quote, so you can see what we plan on doing. We can always go back, and then when the construction drawings come out, there's always changes. So, but yeah, all I need is plans and a little bit of direction, and we can make it work.
Next. This is kind of a recap of some of the things we've talked about. Just gives you all of the reasons that Douglas is one of the leaders in the lighting control industry. I might mention that everything that Douglas does is Title 24 compliant. I think we find that when we're Title 24 compliant, we're compliant with all the energy codes in the country.
Oh, good. Thanks, guys. For those on the phone, if you have some questions, go ahead and put them in the question box. We have time for a couple questions. We've already gotten a couple of them in. So one question has come in for Roger and Randy. We already do a lot of lighting integration with other vendors. How do you become Douglas Lighting certified to provide field commissioning and to recommend purchase Douglas Lighting equipment?
There is training at the Douglas facility in Vancouver, British Columbia. And if you like sushi, you'll love to go there. And it's a 2-day seminar, and you would be given all the information that you would need to be able to do that.
All right.
And
go ahead, Randy.
yeah, during that training, you will learn everything as far as what the room controllers do, the relay panels, the 3150, how to program from that, and you are given a handheld programmer as part of the training. So you will have that handheld programmer to, whenever you go on site, to do a commissioning. So it's very in-depth.
Okay, good, good. Another question that's come in, can we purchase the room controller from Lynxspring? In this particular case, we will, suggest that you reach out to Roger Miller, roger@pinnaclelightingcontrols.com, or if you want, you could always email marketing@lynxspring.com, and we can connect you up with Roger for that. The other thing is another question that's come in. Do you have a BACnet interface?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Go ahead, Randy.
Yeah, the BACnet interface, it goes into the 3150, but it also can go in through, we have an RJ45 port on the room controller that is BACnet, so the BACnet does go with the room controller or with the Dialog relay panels. So yes, full BACnet interface.
Lynxspring has also tested the room controller and for BACnet compatibility with their control devices. So they are up to speed on that, and you can have all the Lynxspring function you want with the room control device.
Thank you. Another question with respect to the Douglas Lighting offering. Can it be used in a small built environment just as easily as a large commercial environment?
Well, absolutely, because we make very small relay panels in terms of the number of relays in the space, and then again it can be tailored to how many sensors, how many switches, whatever needs to be done. The only thing we can't handle is less than one.
Okay. And I think unless there's any other questions, I think we're going to go ahead and close this particular session out. I want to thank Randy and Roger for this great insight into Douglas Lighting products and solutions. And again, from a Lynxspring perspective, we're really seeing lighting control start to take shape and become much more important than it ever has before. So stay tuned for more webinars from Lynxspring, and we thank you and have a wonderful rest of your day.